You want to combine?
One final question, I'll try and make it quick, Chair. And this is about housing growth, which I think we've touched on during the course of today. So Mid Bedfordshire, like many other areas, has seen rapid housing growth over the past decades. Do you think the planning system is robust enough to ensure that water and sewage infrastructure is delivered at the same pace as housing? And I know you mentioned earlier that you're not a statutory consultee. If you were a statutory consultee, what difference do you think that would make? And regardless of all that, what actions are you taking to ensure that there is sufficient capacity in the network to cope with new developments? Particularly in my area, I've got a new town, Wixams. Mm-hmm. It suffered heavily in the flooding because it was new infrastructure going into old. Where it meets, you get overflows. So keen to know what you think about the housing, the planning, but also what are you doing anyway when we have these new towns?
Yeah, I mean, there's growth provision in our has been in M7. There'll be sort of funding to deal with growth in the system in AMP8. We're actually in a conversation with a development in Norfolk at the moment where we're saying, look, actually, for this development to go ahead, notwithstanding we're not a statutory consultee, our system couldn't cope, and we're actually looking to accelerate some works at the local water recycling centre, because although we can probably get water to it, it's dealing with the waste is going to be the problem for us. I mean, if you take a step back and think about the government's wider growth agenda, I think that's why, frankly, this committee is looking at this subject, because it's going to be absolutely crucial for the country to grow and build the houses that the government are committed to make sure the right water infrastructure is there. And I think, to your point, that's as acute an issue as it is in east of England, in our patch, as it is anywhere, because of places like Bedford and the other sort of growth towns and the new towns that are springing up. So I think, again, the government is committed to look at the planning regime, the sort of broader planning environment. I think the water companies, as a statutory undertaker, how they play in that and how we work with developers and local authorities to make sure that the capacity of the water infrastructure is adequate and that there's sufficient funding to deal with that. I think that's a real conundrum. I don't have an answer, but I agree with your sort of hypothesis that this is a really sort of crucial issue, that we need to sort of bring planning, growth and sort of water infrastructure together to move the country forward. And I say we can feel that acutely. And to the earlier question around the south of our patch, we are, if we're not careful, we as a water company are going to get in the way of growth, because we literally can't supply the water. To Jenny's point, there are businesses that are looking to get connected and we just can't give them that. Well, I think we had an issue with a big drinks manufacturer in Northampton. We got right to the point of them getting planning consent to build a factory, hundreds of jobs in construction, dozens of jobs in operations, and literally last minute someone said, well, what about the water? Because it was a manufacturing plant and we couldn't supply it. And they went and took that plant to another part of the country. So I think this is, a macroeconomic as well as a local issue, and we feel that the water company, and I speak probably for all of us, that we've got an important voice to play in that.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.